Hello, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. I love trees. I have a special affinity for the Dawn Redwood, which does live in my backyard. I like to call it the ancient Dawn Redwood. If trees could have a providence, this tree would be one of them. Let me explain. My husband's godmother told us a story, or told my husband a story about the tree in our backyard. She said that her friend, a botanist from Berkeley, had heard of this tree that was only in the fossilized records that was extinct in the dinosaur period. This was back in the 1940s, and my godmother's friend took an expedition over to China and actually found this tree. It existed. He brought seedlings back to America, and he gave one to my husband's godmother. She planted it in our backyard. Now, I would go through life telling that story that had been told to me, and that was okay by me. Kelly's godmother was a meticulous record keeper. She was the executive gatekeeper for SFB Morse for 35 years. She was also the she was the All Saints Church secretary for 35 years. She had no reason to not tell the true story. I really believed it. In my heart, I knew it was true. And then one Saturday morning, I woke my husband up and I said, honey, let's go to garage sales. Sometimes he would agree and sometimes he wouldn't. And this day he agreed. And I'm so glad, because look what we found. When we go to garage sales, we gravitate to the bookcases first. And we found this book. And I said, do you think it will have the story of our Dawn Redwood? We went to the index, and sure enough, it was there. Not only was it there, it told the legacy of the Dawn Redwood. There's 6 pages in this book that tell the story of our Dawn. And it's true. My husband's godmother had a friend from Berkeley that did go to China, and he brought back seedlings for our backyard. But let me get the facts straight. In 1944, a Chinese forester discovered a specimen that he'd never seen before and couldn't identify it. So he sent it to a university professor in China who also couldn't identify the specimen. The university professor sent it to a scientist in China, and he realized it was unlike anything that he had ever seen before. The specimens were taken, then the scientists found that they were identical to specimens that had been found in fossils in Japan and Manchuria. A rare event in science. The discovery of living species believed to have become extinct millions of years before. The Chinese scientists published their findings in a journal, in a medical journal in the country in China, and sent specimens to 2 Americans, one of which was my husband's godmother's friend. Dr. Ralph W. Cheney wanted to see the trees for himself, and in 1948, he set out on an expedition to China. The men flew into China, took a boat down the Yangtze River, and then walked through mountains and rugged, mud-slippery terrain for 3 days before reaching the reported Dawn Redwood. Because local residents warned that bandits were in the area, the visitors were escorted on the last leg of their journey by soldiers carrying rifles. These were the first white men who'd ever been to this remote part of China, and they immediately became the center of attention. On the way to the rice paddy to see the tree, they were accompanied by the entire population of the valley. Locals told them that there were more such trees in remote areas in neighboring provinces. Cheney and the guide set out for the village, where they found a lost world of these Dawn Redwood trees. The American visitors counted more than 100 trees, and the small expedition gathered seedlings. On the return trek, the soldiers had to kill a bandit. Now, this was part of the story we never got. And it's amazing to me how accurate handed down stories really are. Now, there were little discrepancies in the story. Some things we'd heard, some things we'd not. For instance, it wasn't a botanist from Berkeley. In the book, I found out it was a paleontologist. Her friend was a paleontologist, not a botanist. The expedition we heard that went from America to China, I envisioned like a lot of people, but it was only 2 people. It was the paleontologist and reporter from the San Francisco Chronicle. It was the science editor. The trees now, they brought back the seedlings, and one was planted in our backyard. I'm not sure where the other 3 went, but I know that soon they were given to places like Filoli Gardens. There's one at the Robert Louis Stevenson House in Monterey. And also, really special, my husband and I were looking through some old slides and albums, and we found a newspaper clipping of his godmother planting one of these deciduous dawn redwoods at the All Saints Church, downtown Carmel. It's on the north side and it still stands today. I forgot to tell you the tree's deciduous. That's what makes it so unique. Most redwoods keep their leaves. The deciduous dawn that we have loses its leaves every season. If you stay on after the meeting, I'll take my laptop out there and show it to you. Anyway, I'm so happy about my redwood. I love it so much. I loved it from the moment I saw it, before I even heard any of the story. I love the story I was told, but the fact that I have this book to make it real for me is just something that no one can ever take away from me. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.